I'm Emily Roberson. I'm a novelist, and I am here to talk to you about 4 ways to make friends who support your creative life. Way number 1, ask yourself if you already have them. I know this seems like a small thing, but many of us have this vision of people that support our creative life that is some sort of like thing from the movies. This is also a problem about all kinds of creative people. We imagine something from the movies, maybe a bunch of people that share your interests exactly and that you collaborate on everything. And maybe that's what you need for your friends that support your creative life, but maybe you might already have them. So the question to ask yourself then is, how do they respond to your successes? Do they build you up or do they tear you down? To know the answer to this question, just imagine you wrote a poem or painted a picture and you show it to your friend. Do they find ways to talk about what they like about your work or how excited they are that you made something, even if they themselves do not write poems or paint pictures? Or do they nitpick and try to find the things that are wrong with it or tell you you're wasting your time? If it's the second kind, that is not a supportive friend. Here's the big problem. Oftentimes, the person who's most tearing you down is the one who seems like they most share your interest. And sometimes they'll say things like, I'm only doing this for your own good. When you show your baby art to someone and they're mean to it, they are not doing it for your own good. I want you to imagine that your baby art is a baby bird that just got out of the egg. If a person comes over and looks at that hairless baby bird with no ability to fly or anything else and says, it's time for you to fly, little bird, and throws them out of the nest, that person is a sadist and you should stay away from them. The same thing is true with your baby poem. So if you have friends who are not really friends at all, but if there are friends who are mean about your work, then no, you do not have supportive friends and you should find some new ones. So here are some more steps to do that. Let's imagine that you've identified that your friends suck, or you just moved to a new town, which has happened to me many, many times, and you need to move forward on making friends who share your interests or will support you. Because one of my biggest lessons in life is that some of the people who have been the biggest cheerleaders for my writing are not writers, they are readers. And they are so incredibly excited to know someone who does this. They're super curious about all the behind the scenes, where do you come up with your ideas, all of those questions. Those are reader questions, those are friend questions, and it's excellent. And so I completely support those friendships. It's the ones that think you're wasting your time that you should steer clear of. So you've identified you need to find some new friends. Well, here are your steps. Number 1, go to new places. If you've ever been to middle school, which many of us have been, you know that trying to change tables at your middle school is a disaster. Like, it won't work. Everyone will ask why you're not sitting with them anymore. Maybe you'll get pulled into a bunch of drama. It'll be a mess because few of us have the strength of character to look at someone and say, Becky, you're mean and you're not taking care of my feelings and I need to sit somewhere else. Number 1, most of us would cry. And number 2, most Beckys in the world, sorry if your name is Becky, I have lots of dear friends named Becky, but most Beckys in the world will then completely gaslight you and tick off all the reasons why they have completely supported you in all of your stupid pursuits and held you up when you failed epically. So when you're trying to switch lunch tables, your old friends make drama and your new friends don't trust you because they knew about your old friends who, as we've identified, are jerks. And so the next thing you know, you're in the middle of a plot of an after-school special and all you wanted to do was find some creative, supportive friends. So step 2 here, step 2 is to go new places. And I understand this is so hard. It is so hard. It is so hard, but it is completely necessary. And here's the scariest part. You're probably going to need to go to those new places without bringing anyone with you because, as we identified, your old friends are assholes. And so they're just going to tear you down when you get there. So, or you just move to a new town and you don't have anyone to go with you anyway. So you're going to have to go by yourself. But here's the thing. You're not going to be the only person there by yourself. In fact, Your target market is the other people that are there by themselves, because that is where you are going to find your new supportive friends. I'll address later that sometimes you will also meet toxic people in these new places, and some ways to spot them. But for now, we're identifying you need new people, you need new places, and they should align with the things that you're interested in. So, places you could go. There are art meetups. There are music meetups. There are classes. When I first knew that I really wanted to be a writer and I could really name it, I went to a class that was run, this is in Boston, it was an extension class on how to write a novel. And I met people in that class who I still know, some of whom have novels that are published about the same time as mine. How cool is that? We live in different parts of the country, but every time I see their successes, I'm completely tickled because I met them in that class. And that was the first time that I ever knew other people that wanted to do what I wanted to do. Not all of them were supportive, but some of them were amazing. You can also go to conventions. There are conventions for everything. My mother, very involved in the Pastel Society. Did you know there was a Pastel Society? I did not. There is. The people are very nice, very supportive of pastels. I have been to writing meetups, writing conventions. There is a Society for Children Books Writers and Illustrators, SCBWI. Met some really great people there. When we lived in North Carolina, I went to the North Carolina Writers Network Conference. Met some great people there. But you have to go. If you don't go, you'll never know. And maybe you get there and it sucks and everyone's terrible. Does that mean that all places where people meet up are terrible? No. It just means that one's not the right one for you. There are other people there. Presumably it's right for them, just not for you. So knock it off your list and go to the next thing. So you've done it. You've signed up for the art class. You've gone to the convention, you've walked in, your heart is pounding in your ears, you feel like you might vomit, you feel like everyone's gonna turn and look at you and say, she's a fraud, why is she here? He looks like a dork, why is he here? These are all the voices that sound in my head. Maybe they don't sound in yours, but they sound in mine. Everybody else that's there feels exactly the same way. Believe me, they all feel the same way, especially the other new people. And the other new people, that's your target. That's who you're looking for. You didn't just leave Toxic Becky to join a new toxic group. No, you're finding supportive friends, which friendship is a one-to-one relationship. You're trying to find one person, two people, three people that will cheer your successes on and mourn your failures with you. That's what you're looking for here. So when you see a whole crowd of people at one table that look very cool and very intimidating and very scary, no, that is not the table you want. You do not want to go to that table. No, do not do it. Do not do it. You will just feel bad. So here's what I want you to do. You just walked into that classroom, walked into that convention, walked into that Pastel Society meeting, and you look around, you spot one person sitting by themselves, or maybe two people sitting at the edge of a larger group. Scope them out, see if there's anything about them that you would genuinely say, like, hey, those scarves look amazing. Those boots are fabulous. I really love your big purple hat. Or maybe they're drawing something and you can look and see, that looks really cool. Or maybe it's before the all region tryout and everybody's playing the music really loud and it feels like they're all showing off, but everyone's just as nervous as you are. They played that one part that you've struggled with so well. You can go up to them later when they're sitting by themselves and say, hey, you played that part really well. Or, hey, I really love your boots. One of my closest friends in North Carolina, I met her on the school playground while my kids were playing. And how did we get to be friends? We got to be friends because I came up to her and said I loved her boots because her boots were fabulous. And people's clothes actually do give you some clues about whether or not they were people you were like. That's whether or not they are people you would like. That's why we wear clothes, is to send messages to other people. So the message those boots were sending is, I'm the kind of person that Emily would like. So I came up to her and we were great friends. We're still friends to this day. And sometimes we talk about boots, but sometimes we talk about writing. Okay, here's the caveat here. Nothing sketchy in your compliments. Nothing sketchy, dudes. No. She doesn't look hot. She doesn't look really cute in that dress. We're not saying anything about bodies at all. Nothing sketchy. Nothing sketchy. I'm totally serious here. And like when you go up to give the compliment, don't just like stand there and keep complimenting. You're building a friendship here. It's an exchange. So if the person is like shuts you down or doesn't seem like they're very friendly, they're not very friendly. Take the message, move on. You're not looking to make your best friend today. You're fishing for friends. Or maybe a better analogy is you're laying bait out. And hopefully after multiple society meetings, really you have to go back, multiple classes, you will find the person that will be your new creative friend. And maybe even you'll get a group of them. So don't be sketchy, please. Please don't. Here's the other thing. Never, ever, ever, ever start with, I wish I could wear something like that. I wish I could draw that well. This is not the position that you want to be in. You're looking for collaborators, friends, colleagues. When you start from an unequal position, you're never going to be really friends. It's always going to be a mentorship relationship, which is a totally different relationship. And we can talk about mentors later, but what we're talking about today is supportive friends. So if you see someone and you think, I feel so much less than that person, I could never be as good as that person. Number one, I hope you would really spend some time looking yourself in the mirror and talking yourself up, which we'll talk about affirmations in a later video. But for now, I want to say, nope, that's not your person. If you feel that way, you're never going to be able to have a friendship with that person that is not clouded with jealousy. And jealousy is the bane of artistic friendships. It is really the thing that submarines them time and time again. So don't lead with anything sketchy. And also, don't put yourself down to build the other person up. It doesn't work. Okay, you've given your compliment. That's it. Leave it alone. Now you're gonna sit there together. You don't have to talk that much. Many artists, writers, other artistic people are pretty introverted. So you can just sit next to each other. Exchange names though. Do find out their name. Try to remember it. Hopefully you're in an event where people have name tags. That helps. And then before you leave, say it's the morning meeting, there's a conference, there's a lunch later, you can say, hey, what class are you going to next? Or, hey, do you know who you're sitting with at lunch? If they say, yes, I'm sitting with my friends and it's a full table, okay, that really hurts. It's happened to me. It happens to all of us. You just move on. Find the next lonely person. Seriously, don't hang around waiting for that person to realize how great you are. This is not what we're here for. We're making friends, not a popularity contest, just making friends. You have a whole life. You have a whole creative life here. Whole creative life. I know it feels desperate, like you're running out of time, but desperation is the thing that scares people off. So don't do that. You were relaxed. You were here to make friends. Say hi to that person the next time you see them. They'll remember you. Smile at them, smile at them, smile at them. Like smile, a real smile, try. Like think of something funny, smile, seriously. Okay, find another person, compliment them, same thing. Wash, rinse, repeat, breathe. Make sure to breathe. Don't forget to eat. We're doing this, right? We're doing this. We are the baby bird and we have a couple more feathers on us. Here's my next tip. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I promise I'm not. I promise it works. Calling cards. Seriously, a card with your name on it and an email address, I would say. There's enough sketchy people in the world, I maybe wouldn't put a phone number on it. I have one for writing, which just has an email address on it. And then I have one for friends in real life, which actually has my phone number on it because I want people to text me. A calling card is the best thing you can do because even if they totally like you, we meet lots of people and it's easy to lose track. You give them your card. Mostly they say, hey, what a cute card. I have a card. It's very cute. People remember that it's cute. Did it help me make friends? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it has helped. And people really underrate the card. Just a card. You will not look like an old man, I promise. You will not look like somebody selling something, I promise. Just get the card, hand it out. It's no big deal. Next big tip, don't stalk. Don't stalk. It's back to the sketchy thing, like don't stalk. Like don't, you can follow them on social media, definitely do that. But like don't, obsessively check, like don't reply haha to every single thing they post. Like we're in a dance here. Don't stalk. If they don't reach out, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything bad about you. I have this idea with friendships that people only have a certain number of friendship spots. And sometimes people have, for example, really, really close-knit families, and all of their friendship spots are filled up with their relatives, and they only have like 2 spots for non-related friends. And those 2 friends they've known since they were little kids. You're never gonna get in that group. No matter how much they like you, they can think you're amazing. You can't push out their cousin. You can't. So just don't worry about it. Move on to the next person. Or maybe they're at a phase of life where they just can't manage to add a new friend right now. Or maybe, and I think this is really true of the creative life, they're at a moment with their own creative journey, with their own jealousy, with their own FOMO, with their own troubles, that they can't be friends with anyone who's on the same path right now. That is completely legitimate. I would not say give up on those people, but just know it's not the right time. There are however many billion people in the world. A lot of them are creative. A lot of them can be friends with you. Okay, I have a policy about how you can tell whether or not to keep going. So my policy is 1 time canceling plans without rescheduling, I will allow, and 1 time sending messages and not hearing anything back. After that, I will just hang up my friend hat for that person because I know my ego can't stand to be rejected again and again. I just can't. I can't stand it. I don't have enough belief in myself to continue to believe in myself being friends with someone if I just keep throwing myself at them. I do, however, reserve a special case for that one friend. We all have one, that one friend who cannot manage to make plans. Let that person be themselves, and if it's worth it to you, you stay friends with them. I have one like that. She probably knows who she is. But I know she cares about me. I know she's a really good friend of mine. And I know I'll make plans every time. And I'm really okay with that because I don't doubt for a minute that we are dear friends. And if you have those friends, you don't have to form the policy strictly. But I really do like my strict policy because it means that I can much more easily decree that it wasn't about me, it was about them, which is the secret to doing this. Everything that happens isn't because there's something wrong with you. Sometimes it really is the other person. Here's step 4. This is the most important part. You've identified the friend from the pastel society. You think they're great. You have to set a regular time to see them. You have to. It's the only way things happen. People are super busy. It's the only way. So I have one friend who I see the first Tuesday of every month. It's on my calendar. I know I'll see her the first Tuesday of every month. Sometimes we go to coffee. Sometimes we see a movie. But the trick is that we know it's happening. And so when we don't see each other, it's okay because we can catch up. One of my dearest friends in the world, we had coffee every Wednesday morning in between the time we dropped our older kids off at kindergarten and took the younger kids to preschool. It was 40 minutes, hardly any time at all. The younger 2 talked to each other. Sometimes they played, sometimes they cried. But in those moments of time, we built a true, lasting, wonderful friendship. And that friend is who I got to stay with in North Carolina when I went for my book launch there. She has been cheering for me on this author journey for over 12 years. And it started with tiny coffees every Wednesday before she took her daughter to preschool and went to work, and I took my son to preschool and went to work. And that's how these things happen. And did we know at first that it would turn into this wonderful friendship? No, but it did. So here's my final tip about this. My final tip, when it's not working, let it go. Let it go. You are trying to make supportive friends, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And when you leave meeting with someone, if you feel drained, depressed, like you got wrung out like a washcloth, it's not working. This friendship is not giving you what you need for it to give you. And I'm not trying to talk about being selfish here, because I actually think there's something selfish about continuing to see someone when you no longer want to, because you're taking up one of their friend spots just the same as they're taking up one of yours. And we need to have faith in our friends that they are also capable of finding friends on their own. Now, there's a special case here for people who are going through a really hard time. I'm not saying ditch your friend whose boyfriend just dumped her and she just lost her job and she's in a horrible situation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're consistently spending time with someone and you're finding that it's just making you feel bad, that they aren't supporting what you're doing, that they're being overly critical, you can make new friends. You don't have to stay with the same people. Because remember back in the beginning when you had that toxic Becky, like you got rid of her, you can move on. People grow, people change, you can change. It's allowed. Here's one big caveat about making creative friends: toxicity. In artistic communities, there are so many people whose dreams are so big and they can often feel so far from what they can achieve. And you're wandering around in a morass of self-doubt, in a culture that doesn't encourage your creative life, and people who are telling you shouldn't quit your day job, or asking if you're still working on that thing, or all those things. Maybe your mother thinks you're wasting your time. Maybe your dad thinks you've let yourself go. Doesn't matter. People carry all their own baggage, and sometimes it dumps on you. And so even the nicest person can, under the right circumstances, turn into a toxic person. Watch out, it can happen to you too. It can totally happen to you. So if you're dealing with someone and you are regularly faced with jealousy or anger or just a general fear that they aren't happy for you, just run away. It's not going to help your creative life, because what happens in that, and I've been in these friendships, is you start to hide your own light because you're afraid that your light is hurting this other person. And so all of a sudden, a friendship that's supposed to be supporting your creative life is tearing you down. And that is a situation that your creative spirit cannot sustain. So if you're around someone or a group of people and it feels toxic, listen to your heart and change. You can change. You can have any reason you want or no reason. The art group you're in all of a sudden isn't working for you. You change your schedule. You work on Tuesdays now. You can't come. You don't ever need to tell someone they were toxic, because they probably don't know. And if they do know, it's not going to help them. There's nothing helpful in that. Then you're just being Becky. So you can make a change, and then you go through the steps again. And I know it sounds terrible to go through the steps again. I know it sounds awful, and you're thinking, Emily, I just did this. Why do I have to do it again? But I'm telling you that once you get it down, it's one of the joys of life. It is truly one of the joys of life to meet new people who love what you do and love that you do it, and to keep moving forward on this creative life, because you're going to make friends for your whole life. So you might as well get started now. Thanks for listening. I'm Emily Roberson, talking about living a creative life.